You were told to be kind, to put other people's needs ahead of your own, that good people are selfless, that sacrifice is saintly, that if you want to be loved, you must bend. But what if that kindness is the very thing keeping you small? What if your need to be liked is actually a cage? We are told that we should be kind and put other people's needs ahead of our own, that good people are selfless, that sacrifice is saintly, that if you want to be loved, you must bend. But no one tells you this. If you burn yourself to keep others warm, you will teach them to love your ashes. You were taught to be kind, but what you really learned was how to be silent. From childhood, you were praised for being easy to manage. You got rewarded for being quiet, agreeable, undemanding. You were told you were mature when you suppressed your needs. You were called good when you let others go first, even when they never looked back. You weren't taught emotional intelligence. You were taught emotional obedience. Don't cry, don't argue, don't be difficult. So you smiled, even when you were scared. You apologized, even when you were the one hurt. And slowly, quietly, you disappeared. And slowly, you built an identity around being liked, around not taking up too much space, around never being a problem. But here's the tragedy. You became kind not to connect with others, but to protect yourself from abandonment. That isn't virtue. That's trauma with good manners. Ask yourself, when did you first learn that it was safer to please than to speak? Who taught you that your truth was too much? And how many pieces of yourself have you shaved off just to fit into other people's boxes? Kindness isn't always noble. Sometimes it's fear in disguise. The fear of being rejected. The fear of being misunderstood. The fear of being called selfish. So you hide behind kindness. You weaponize politeness to avoid discomfort. You use empathy as a shield to protect yourself from confrontation. But what you think is generosity is often just a coping mechanism for low self-worth. You thought kindness was strength, but it was your way of avoiding discomfort. You thought you were being noble, but you were just scared of being alone. The Stoics didn't walk around trying to please everyone. They weren't here to fit in. They were here to live rightly. They knew that truth often offends, that justice sometimes disrupts, that virtue means acting with principle, even if it makes you unpopular. Epictetus wrote, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That's not a call to arrogance, that's a call to integrity. Because living with truth isn't always graceful. Sometimes it's rough, sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes it means letting go of being the good one, so you can become the honest one. Kindness without strength becomes currency, and it's a dangerous trade. You use your niceness to buy love. You trade your silence for acceptance. You give and give, not out of abundance, but to earn safety. At work, you take on extra burdens no one else wants, because you don't want to make a fuss. In relationships, you tolerate emotional neglect because you're afraid of being alone. With friends, you're always the helper, the fixer, the giver, because it's the only role you've ever known. But here's the paradox. The more you give from fear, the less they respect you. The more you sacrifice, the more they expect, and the more invisible you become. You try to earn worthiness, and all you get is emptiness. Because when kindness becomes currency, they stop seeing you as a person and start treating you like a product. Let me paint you a picture. You're in a room with 5 people. You say yes to something you hate. Everyone smiles. No one notices you're hurting. Later that night, you lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, heart pounding, jaw clenched. And all you can think is, why didn't I just say no? That moment right there, that's not kindness. That's self-betrayal dressed in politeness. You are not kind if your kindness leaves you empty. You are not good if your goodness is driven by fear. You are not noble if your nobility is performative. You are just exhausted, tired of holding everyone else together while you quietly fall apart. The Stoic man does not bend endlessly. He gives, but not out of guilt. He listens, but he's not a doormat. He serves, but never at the cost of self-respect. Because he understands something modern society forgets. Love without truth is manipulation. Generosity without boundaries is self-abandonment. Kindness without discernment is weakness. You were not born to be nice. You were born to be whole. This isn't about being harsh. This is about being whole. When your coworker disrespects your time, you respond with calm clarity, not passive aggression or silence. When your partner asks for more than you can give, you say no with respect, not with guilt. When your friend crosses a boundary, you hold your line, not because you don't care, but because you do. This is not cruelty. It's character. It's not selfish, it's centered. Because Stoic kindness is rooted in principle, not people-pleasing. It comes from strength, not scarcity. It honors the truth, not just harmony. It knows that a clear no can be more loving than a dishonest yes. You are not unkind for putting yourself first. You are not selfish for protecting your boundaries. You are not bad for no longer playing the role they assigned you. You are just becoming real. And realness always threatens illusions. You are not a resource. You are not a rescue boat. You are a human being worthy of your own care. And when you finally give yourself what you keep giving away, you stop surviving. You start living. Because you cannot serve others from an empty soul, and you are no longer willing to bleed just to make them feel better. Imagine this. It's your last day alive. Not in a morbid sense, just finality. No more time left to please, apologize, or perform. Would you spend that day being nice? Would you still say yes to avoid discomfort? Or would you finally be real? Would you speak what's been buried in your chest for years? Would you finally put yourself first, not to hurt others, but to stop hurting yourself? Before you were anxious when people were upset with you. Now you remain calm in the storm. Before you needed to be liked. Now you need to be true. Before your yes was a reflex. Now it's a decision. That's the shift. That's the freedom. That's what it means to be kind and sovereign. You stop over-explaining. You stop trying to control how others perceive you. You stop needing to be the one who always softens the blow. And instead, you become grounded. You become still. You become untouchable. Because your soul is no longer for sale. Not for attention, not for validation, not for the label of nice guy. You've been taught that the opposite of kindness is cruelty. But that's not true. The opposite of kindness is clarity. And clarity is what sets you free. You were told to be kind. But now you see it clearly. Kindness is not what you owe the world. It's what you offer when your truth is intact. Because kindness without boundaries is manipulation. But kindness with truth, that's virtue. That's power. That's Stoic.